Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Phillies Unfiltered. Along with Brent Tracy, I'm Jim Russo. I'm excited to be here. You know what this means. Opening week, Brent.
I know. We're here. It's real.
It is real and it's spectacular. I'm really excited. It's Christmas season for me right now. So we got a little mini lineup here for you today. I'm going to ask Brent something random in a moment. We're going to mention Jimmy Rollins being the new inductee to the Phillies Wall of Fame, spring training wrap-up, record predictions, and, of course, Guess That Phillie. Ready to get going?
Let's do it.
All right, so what I have for you today, Brent, name me your top 3 baseball movies. Honestly, I'm of the belief that we grew up in a prime sports movie era. I'm leaving baseball out of this particular comment I'm making. Look, we had Mighty Ducks. We had even Space Jam was awesome. Like we had
the first one was, yeah.
Right. Little Giants. Even The Big Green. There's a lot of kids movies like our age. It was great.
I mean, even Remember the Titans, like stuff based on real.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some good stuff. Miracle, which we were in high school by then, but the hockey one. I mean, there were some really good ones.
Yeah. All right. So what do you have for me in this category?
So it's funny. I kind of did this in, I don't want to say eras, but with three different mindsets, I guess.
Okay.
For me, the top one is Sandlot.
Without a doubt.
Okay. So you're there too.
I'm right there.
I mean, it had everything for me. It had the baseball, it had the growing up, the being a kid, the magic of the game, and like how it relates to life, all that stuff. It just was, and James Earl Jones was in it. I mean, he was like this mythical character in it. Yes. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed that movie. I showed it to my kids a little while back, and they really liked the dog, the beast, and all that whole lore. So I love that movie. That is number one for me. If we're going, the top movies for sure. It's got to be
very good.
So
I like that is my number one. So I'm not going to argue that whatsoever.
Okay. So my second one is a little bit newer, and it's based on a real story, and that's 42.
All right.
The Jackie Robinson movie. I love that movie because it is, based on a really key, not moment, but series of moments, key event, key person in American history, and he was just an incredible athlete, and I don't think people realize he wasn't just a baseball player. Like he was an incredible athlete. He played so many sports and he excelled at all of them, and obviously he was up against a lot of dire circumstances and did it really really well, and it was an impressive thing. So I like that whole movie. I think Chadwick Boseman did an incredible job of portraying him. And, we watch it every year on around Jackie Robinson Day in baseball, in Major League Baseball, when they all wear 42.
It's a really good idea.
Good tradition. Yeah, it's fun. We like doing that. But I did. I really liked that movie. And I like the Pee Wee Reese pieces of that, too, because I had a coach who used to say he was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. He grew up in Brooklyn, New York guy, loved the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he gave out awards at the end of the year, and he gave me the Pee Wee Reese Award the year I had him, and because Pee Wee was known for his glove. He was a decent hitter, but he was really good in the field, and I loved that he was the first one to really step out and support Jackie Robinson in reality. That's a true event. What happened, but I really like how they portrayed that in the movie. So that's number 2 for me here.
All right.
Now this one is going to be a little bit, no pun intended, out of left field. Because there's a bunch I could go with. I like, the Major League movies were fun. I particularly like Major League 2, strangely. I really like that one the best.
All right,
out of that
Major League 1's
series.
better. That's.
See, I like 2. I don't know why, but that's not the one. That's not the one. Okay. So the one I went with is Little Big League. Did you ever see that?
Okay. Yes. You had
Okay.
Ken Griffey
Griffey
robbing the home run. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, in his prime. Randy Johnson was in it.
Yeah.
And you know, I enjoyed that movie. I guess because, especially, I've seen it fairly recently, but as a kid, I really liked that, the whole idea of a kid managing a team and being like knowing the game that well. I think that's why I like that. I think
Ah,
the kid that
okay.
the main kid in it, I don't think he's still acting as far as I know, but I think he did a really good job in that of like portraying someone who like knows the game and is kind of a
Mhm.
genius about the game. I like the pitching coach in it. He was in a bunch of movies, but he was really good. There was just like a lot of good characters. And the fun fact, the vast majority of the players were actually players. They had played like at least minor league ball, like some cases double A, triple A, and I think one or two actually might have touched the major leagues. So I thought that was pretty cool that they, you know, were baseball players primarily that got hired to act in a movie. So that being the case, I thought that they did a pretty good job considering that wasn't their first, you know.
That-
But anyway, that's a bit of a random one. Obviously, it's number 3 on the list. I don't know. I always enjoy watching it.
I mean,
It cracks me up.
it is a fair list. I actually agree with you on two of the movies in the top three. So Sandlot
Oh
is
wow.
my absolute number one. I've shown my kids it. Finn really got into watching it last year and literally watched it maybe 5, 6 days in a row. Hey,
Yeah.
that's great. That's one of those movies where you turn it on, you're just gonna watch. You're gonna have so much fun watching it. You know all the great quotes from it and all the. Um, then 42, I have at number three. I thought that I didn't know if we were actually going to have this one on the list together. Um,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed 42. Made the Phillies look really bad, didn't it? Because that's really
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. That was not good.
Hey,
The coach was.
one of those were the times and yeah. But I agree. Chadwick Boseman was fantastic in that movie. He was really good in a lot of movies he does. Pretty much all of them that he did. But and then my number two features one specific player, Roy Hobbs, the Natural. Familiar?
That's a classic. Yeah,
I
it's a
just,
classic.
I like the sounds of the game in that movie, like it just resonate. Like you hear the crack of the bat, like the ball hitting the stands in when like it's
The
empty
lights.
during
Yeah.
batting practice, blowing
Yeah.
up the light.
Yeah. I remember.
Robert
Yeah.
Redford's
That's
great in that movie. Like apparently Wilford Brimley was really young in that movie, and he looks like this old man. But that like
I think he always looked like an old man.
yeah, so that was, that's a movie I will show the kids eventually when a little bit more mature. Both two of the movies that we had strange iterations of Babe Ruth.
That's true. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And the Sandlot, that was like the whole thing was he was this he was God to them basically, and that was the whole thing. But yeah, no, that's a good point. And we did, for everybody listening, we did not talk about this at all. Jim's just
no
like, give me your top 3 baseball movies. We did not discuss at all.
honorable mention to A League of Their Own, like that was
Oh,
close. Um,
yeah, that's Tom Hanks, Gina. I mean, there were so many good people in that movie, and it was a
yeah,
great story. I love that.
heck, Madonna.
Yeah, she was. Her character was awesome in that. That was so
she was
funny.
good. And then I thought about Rookie of the Year, but no, I couldn't.
Me too. Yeah, John Candy was so good in that. I figured out why the Cubs lose every year. They've got more talent in the stands than they do on the field.
Always have great announcers, right? Like there's John
Yes.
Candy and Bob Uecker in Major League. But that wraps up that portion. What I want to start off our Phillies conversation with tonight is Jimmy Rollins being the inductee to the Wall of Fame. This is
Okay.
a shoe-in to me. Like this had to happen. I completely agree that he should be the first. He should be like the first of the core.
Yeah.
Between him, Howard, and Utley, it should be J. Roll because as Jimmy goes, the rest of the team goes.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on Jimmy being inducted into the Wall of Fame, and I want to know where you stand on him being a possible Hall of Famer.
Okay. It's no brainer that he's on the wall. On the wall. I mean, he might be the best shortstop in team history. I mean, seriously. Boa was great with a glove. Wasn't the best with the bat. I mean, that was not his strength. He was decent, but Rollins, I think, has the edge offensively, and I think he was just every bit as good as Boa with the glove. So I think it's a no brainer. And like you said, he had the intangibles. He was the captain of the team unofficially. He was a leader. They had a lot of leaders, but he was the leader. He's the one that was the catalyst for that '08 team to win, saying we're the team to beat. He knew how to get under the other team's skin. He backed up his talking, which was great.
Yeah.
And he had all the stuff. He had speed. He had a little bit of power sometimes. He again, the glove. We're sorely missing that now, and I think it's so much more highlighted even now because we see like Trey is just he's not cutting it with the glove in the field. And Jimmy, you knew anytime a ball went near him, he was gobbling it up and he was making the play. You didn't have any worries about it. He was just money with that glove, and he had a cannon for an arm. He had a really strong arm. So, for me, no question. For the wall, it makes sense. The Hall of Fame, it's a little bit tougher, but I still think he should get in. When you compare to the position, the other player, it's a position thing. You have to compare, I think, to other people who are up for that position. And you got someone like Ozzie Smith who made it, and he was the wizard, and that was all. It was his defense. He was a wizard in the field. He was a decent hitter. He was a better hitter than I think people realize, but Jimmy was a better hitter, I think. Jimmy was a more dangerous hitter. And I'm not going to say Jimmy was as good as Ozzie Smith with the glove because Ozzie may have been the best defensive shortstop of all time. You could argue that point. But you're looking at different guys at that position. I think you've got to I mean, it might take a couple tries. I think he's been on the ballot twice now, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. I agree with a couple of tries.
Yeah, I don't think, but I mean, the batting average, not ideal, 264 for his career, but 2,455 hits. That's a lot of hits. That is a lot of hits. 231 home runs, which I don't think people would realize. He hit some home runs in his career. That's not bad for a leadoff guy. I mean, he batted leadoff the vast majority of his career. That's not bad. And his RBIs were under 1,000, but he was 936. That's pretty good for a leadoff guy. And stolen bases, he was pushing 500. He had 470 stolen bases in his career. He did it. He really did it all. He had 4 Gold Gloves, which again underscores what I said about his defense. He had a Silver Slugger. We know he won the MVP and World Series champion. Made the All-Star team several times. I think 3 times. He won the Roberto Clemente Award. So he was doing stuff off the field too, which I know doesn't necessarily qualify you for the Hall, but he really did do everything, I think. And you got to remember what he did in the playoffs. He always came through. He always had that, he always did what he had to do. He came through that I think the '09 NLCS against the Dodgers. He hit that gapper in the bottom of the ninth, I want to say it, and drove home the winning run. And he was just money at the plate through both of those playoff runs, really. I mean, he set the tone. Him and Victorino at the top of that lineup with their speed and their ability to make contact, put the ball in play. Set up for the big guys to come up, and that's why that team was so dangerous. But like you said, it all started with Jimmy. It was always, J-Roll was the one who set all of that in motion. So yeah, I really believe he should and will get in.
So I agree about Jimmy, and he set the tone for the team consistently. I mean, there were some times where he would pop up the ball and he wouldn't jog it out, or he wouldn't run it out. I mean, he would jog instead, and so the hustle sometimes came up, but that wasn't something that would affect his Hall of Fame resume. I think of a guy like Barry Larkin when I think of Jimmy Rollins. Like, there's a lot of comparables there, like on both sides. Barry Larkin might have been a better hitter, but I still think Jimmy was better with the glove. And Jimmy had more Gold Gloves than Barry Larkin. Barry Larkin's in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy has an MVP. Jimmy has a World Series. He did so much. His MVP year, was that his 20 and 20 year?
I'm not sure. I know it was 07.
Think about that. How many guys are hitting 20 plus home runs, 20 plus triples, 20 plus doubles. Like
And
he
the
could
hit
do it
streak
all
that he had.
for this team.
The hit streak.
And the hit streak, I had mentioned, I was at the opening day in '06 when he extended that hit streak over the course of the other season. That was 30 plus games. Like, that was awesome. And you said he might be the best shortstop in Phillies history. To me, he is the best shortstop in Phillies history. Yeah, Larry Bowa was great with the glove, but Jimmy Rollins is worlds better than Larry Bowa, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was special, and he did so much for the core of that team. And he backed up his words. They were the team to beat, and
Right.
he made it known that they were. He proved it on the field. I have so much respect for Jimmy Rollins. He's my favorite player from that core team. It's who doesn't appreciate a good shortstop, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. It may take a few tries, as you mentioned, but eventually he should be there. I believe he might be the only one from the 2008 World Series team that makes the Hall of Fame.
I think that you might be right.
Well, Brent, that wraps us up for J-Roll. Let's move on to our spring training wrap-up. We saw the offense go off a few times. They even came back from a 7-0 deficit. Was it yesterday? And they won that game 8-7. They scored 8 runs in 1 inning. It's wonderful to see, even if it's all minor leaguers.
Yeah.
But I think some big news this week is they're finalizing rotations. They're starting to finalize rosters. The big one coming out is Ranger is hurt. And we are more than likely, it's pretty clear now that we are going to see Taijuan Walker at 5. Concerns?
Yes. Just yes. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's not shocking that Ranger's having issues. I mean, he's injury prone, but I don't love Walker in that rotation. I mean,
nope.
His last outing did not go well. Painter is obviously not where he's not anywhere near coming up. Phillips got sent down. Apparently, I mean, he had a really rough spring, and rightfully they reassigned him. They just signed, was it Carlos Hernandez today, or they picked him on waivers. Yeah, and I mean, he was not, his numbers were not good with Kansas City. So I mean, I don't know if a change of venue, maybe it will catch lightning in a bottle or something, but I'm not expecting much out of that move.
Let's hope.
But no, I do have concerns, and I think we talked before the broadcast. That means that Taijuan is likely the arm that's going to be going when we go to the game together. And I'm not okay with it. I cursed us when I said you don't have a bad starter in this rotation last week, and now we're going to be seeing likely. I mean, unless they do, because they have some days off in there, we'll see. But
you never know. Maybe he has a stellar outing. It is the Rockies. They have maybe 2 or 3 decent players.
Yeah.
Who knows what else after that? But Taijuan Walker could make them look like megastars. Who knows? If that splitter isn't biting, we're done.
Exactly. That's what it comes down to. Is it dropping or not? And if it's not, then he's going to get rocked. No pun intended.
I think the bigger thing out of this is Rangers hurt again. And it's the back again. Like, this is going to affect him at the end of the season when it comes to money. So, we'll talk about free agency later on, but I think this now is going to hurt his prospects later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other news is the actual rotation and how it's set for this coming week. So obviously we have Zach Wheeler starting game 1, Jesus Luzardo starting game 2, Aaron Nola starting game 3, Christopher Sanchez at home for the opener, game 4, and game 5, most likely Taijuan Walker, as we just mentioned. The interesting thing is Christopher Sanchez getting the home opener start. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, I think it's more just the left-right thing, and I agree. I think splitting it up makes sense. Uh, Wheeler starting the year, definitely you put him on the hill to start the season. And then Luzardo. It's interesting not Sanchez instead, but yes, but I think it's more left-right thing. And I think the reasoning is that Sanchez struggled a little bit on the road last year, although I think they expect him to improve on that this year, but I think that was the reason mostly is that he's comfortable at home. They wanted to get him off to a confident start, and that's really what went into it. That would be my guess.
Or is it because he was their second best starter last year?
I mean, it might be, but in that case, why not start him as the second game of the season?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I think it's more about his comfort at home and wanting to get off to a good start at home. I think they really want Citizens Bank Park to be, a tough place to play. They want to win their games there. They want to win every game, but you want that to be a scary place to play for opposing teams. And I think he's pitched well at home, and I think a lot of it's more that than it is anything else. But you're right; it might be. It might be the other. Yeah,
doing the player a service is great, but I think if you're doing the fans a service, why not give Aaron Nola the home opener? But I mean, Christopher Sanchez was great last year. I take back everything I said about him. I told my brother one random Monday night last year, it's like, I never want to see Christopher Sanchez. I see him as I see Bailey Falter. And gosh, did he prove me wrong? And I love that. Thank you, Christopher Sanchez, for being what you were last year. Like, you had fire. You had great pitches. Like, you were outstanding. You were an all-star. Kudos to you, my guy.
I actually saw him. I took my wife and I took our son. We called her to. It was a Nats game in Philly, and Sanchez did a complete game. I think he let up one run maybe, but it was a complete game. Pitched 9 innings, and he can go deep into games. Especially when that changeup, when he's setting it up with the fastball. Because when he first came to Philly, he had high velocity but no control. So then he took some velocity off to get control. That was his first year. And then he got the velocity back up. I think he's throwing 95, 96. Is that right?
Yeah, he's throwing some heat now.
Yeah. And then the changeup. I mean, that changeup is one of the best, I think, certainly the best on our staff, I think. Nola's got a pretty good changeup, but I mean, that's really Sanchez's out pitch. That's his strikeout pitch. That's the one he wants to get people chasing.
Let's look out. He should be their Sanchez should be their number 2 going forward through the year. I mean, I think it will somehow reset. We'll see Wheeler, Sanchez, Nola,
Luzardo.
Luzardo. Yeah, because we don't know when Ranger's going to show up. It's going to be those 4. And then the last piece I didn't mention, but we exchanged a text about it, is the last spot on the bench, which we talked about last week, is apparently now definitely between Buddy Kennedy or Cody Clemens.
Yep.
It has to be Cody Clemens, because to me, I saw the video. I was telling you, I saw the video of Justin Crawford making this ridiculous catch, and then he's standing next to Buddy Kennedy, like just kind of. Buddy congratulates him. He makes, hey, you made a great play, great job. And then I just observed that Buddy Kennedy, to me, looks like somebody that belongs in a beer league softball team. Why are you in the major leagues? He doesn't do anything for me. He has 4 hits, and I don't care that there were home runs. No, I don't care if you're friends with Mike Trout. Like, you're not Mike Trout.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, to me, it's, if I'm making this decision, it's not a decision. We talked about it last week. It's Cody Clemens. It doesn't matter about left and right. He's a better all-around player. He's more versatile. You can put him in more places in the field. I don't care about left-right right now. If, again, 2 weeks into the season, Cody's struggling at the plate for whatever reason, okay. Weston Wilson's coming back. You have him to think about putting into the lineup. Or you've probably got some other options. Arroyo could be another option at some point. You might recall him because you need it, but I don't know.
That's really all I have for the spring training wrap up. I'm ready for these boys to head up north, and we'll start the season in Washington, where they ended the season last year. Feels like that's how they ended their year altogether. Yeah. But let's let's get off to a hot start. I mean, don't take them for granted. They have a couple players that can hurt us, and I still think it'll be a good series. It'll be fun to watch the boys again on a
Absolutely.
regular day-to-day basis. Um, Leading to that, since we're getting into the season, let's talk about records. Where are they going to finish? So first, Brent, what do you see as the overall record for this year's rendition of the Philadelphia Phillies?
I've never been a fan of the doing this, but
Okay.
I will because you asked so nicely.
Okay.
Um, I think 93, 94 wins is what I'm expecting. I don't have any expectation that they're going to get to 100 wins. They might, but they just need to get like into the mid 90s. That'll get them into the playoffs. I think it'll give them solidly into the wild card because I think this division's going to beat up on itself. I really do. I really think. I don't think anyone's running away with it this year. I think the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies are going to be beating each other up pretty good in the standings, and I don't think any team is going to jump ahead unless there's some serious injuries involved for any one of the teams. So I think the Phillies will get to 94, 95 wins. Um, I
Is that
think
enough to win the division?
probably not. No, I think the Braves are going to be 97, 98. I think they're going to edge us out. That's what I think. Because I think the Braves, when healthy, are a slight. We talked about that. I think they're slightly a better overall, but not by much. I do think offensively we can compete with them, but they're just more consistent. I think talent-wise we're on their level. Consistency-wise they have the edge. So I'm going to give them. I think they win it by 2 or 3 games. It'll be close, but the Mets I think are maybe a 90-win team. I know a lot of people really high on them because they got Soto, but what's their pitching? And like you said, there's a drop off after there's 1, 2, 3 batters. It's not as it's not as clear. So I think Mets maybe get to 90 wins as the third team in the division. I think we're two with 94, 95, and the Braves are 97, 98. That's my guess.
I think that's fair. I have the Phillies 91 and 71.
Okay.
Um, Enough to be first wild card. I
I
do not
agree
think
with
they're
that.
going to win the division. I think the Braves will edge out the Phillies. I hope they don't, and I want the Phillies to win the division. But I do think 3 playoff teams are in this division.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and as you mentioned, they are going to beat up on each other,
Hmm.
and that's going to impact their record. So, I mean, 91, I feel like is a lot to ask for, um, because what they have 13 games against each of those teams,
Yeah.
and they're going to be good. The Braves and the Mets are going to be good, and for some reason the Phillies always struggle against the Marlins, and the Nats.
Although
Who knows what they're going to be?
last year we did better. I think it was one of
Yeah,
our better years against them. But you're right.
traditionally we struggle.
Yes, we do.
But it should be a fun division to watch when we have the interdivision games where Braves Phillies Mets, and like it it's going to be competitive. It's going to be fun. I think we have the edge in over the Mets. I think the Braves have the slight edge over us. We might have the better pitching, but just like you said, the Braves have the consistency on the hitting side, so it's going to hurt us there. But
Yeah.
I think they make the playoffs. Where they go from there is going to be my next question for you. Where do the Phillies finish 2025?
I mean, I think there's no reason why they can't get to the World Series if everybody's healthy and they execute. That's what it comes down to: health and execution. They're as good as any team in Major League Baseball. They have as good a roster as anybody. They've got the starting pitching, they've got the offense, and I think their bullpen. I mean, Romano and Alvarado look dangerous. I mean, they have
Yeah,
looked excellent in the spring so far. We'll see how it translates, but they look so good. Strom's going to be back to start the season, it sounds like, which is great news. Um, there's no reason they can't get all the way. So I'm hoping. I think they can make the World Series. I'm gonna, as a fan, I'm a little bit biased, obviously, but I'm gonna say Phillies make it to the World Series. Do they win? I don't know because I think it's gonna really depend. But I think they can make the World Series. I think they can beat the Dodgers. They were 5-1 against them last year. I mean, You know,
Was it 5-1? I remember they swept them
yeah,
here.
yeah, and then
I remember
they
that.
took 2 out of 3 in L.A.
Okay.
So
Can they win the World Series? If they make the World Series, I feel they're going to win. However, I think it all depends on the Dodgers' health. Like, what's going on with Mookie right now? Like, what, is Freddie Freeman okay? Is Shohei going to last the season?
yeah.
Because if they're fully healthy, I'm scared of them. Like, they have, how many aces do they have?
Yeah, but see, they do, but that's in name only. Like, Snell can only go like 5 innings. Like, he doesn't scare me.
His no hitter's a fluke.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. Their pitching staff doesn't really scare me. It's a lot of names, but it's not. It's not. Our staff is better. I will argue anybody on that point. I think we have a better starting staff.
I do think we have pitchers that can dominate their offense. They're big three, but those big three when they're going.
Oh yeah,
Shohei I don't want to see them.
Yeah,
Freddie Freeman's the only Brave I've ever wanted to be a Philly.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like, could you have imagined? But they're a bought team, but they're darn good. So I think they're gonna be the fork in the road, so to speak. Like, which way are we going? They're gonna be tough to beat, but they can do it. I just don't know if they're going to.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard for me to pick them to win the World Series this year. They're at least making the playoffs, but everybody knows that they have this window, and it's now.
Yeah.
They need to execute. They need to bring Bryce a World Series ring.
That's fair. Yeah.
So going from that, who's your MVP of the team this year?
I mean, in order for them to do what we want them to do, I think Harper's got to be the MVP. He's got to show up, and he will. He always does. I mean, I think. But if we can get Harper level production for the entire season, I think that puts the Phillies in a great spot, because when he's hitting the ball to all fields, and he's seeing the ball well, taking walks, getting on base, doing all the things that he needs to do. He's as good as anybody in the league. I mean, he's an MVP caliber player. He's won 2 at this point, I think, 2 in his career. Yes. And I mean, he's got to be. I think the second option for that this year, if he's batting in the 4 or 5 spot, could be Kyle Schwarber, a dark horse for that category, because he could hit 125, 130 RBIs if he's got the runners on base, because we talked about how many of his home runs in his career have been solo, a ridiculously high percentage. Yes. If he's got runners on base, those numbers jump astronomically. So it could be him. For me, I think it could be Schwarber, but Harper's the obvious choice for that.
I agree. Bryce. If Bryce goes, this team wins. Yeah. I don't want to wait for him. I don't want to wait 10 games for him to hit his first home run, and he has a 3 home run night, and then everything changes like last year. But right. I need him to come out of the gates hot. He usually doesn't, and so I'd just like to see him show up ready to go and ready to win now. So yeah, he's the team MVP this year, and he's gotta be MV3. He's got to be ready to win that 3rd one this year. If I had a dark horse, I can't agree with Kyle Schwarber. I think he could put up some big numbers in the 4 hole. The average is going to be too low for me for MVP quality. So if that new leadoff man can do what he's supposed to do, then maybe Trey Turner can do something crazy and win an MVP.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that being a possibility, but my issue with him is the streaks. He goes into those cold streaks, whereas Schwarber generally hasn't. He gets hotter as the season goes on usually. Yeah. It really goes along with the weather. As it gets warmer, right. So does Schwarber. So I think that's why I went, because I did think about Trey. I think he has MVP qualities to him, but he's got to stay consistent. So yeah, we'll see. But I think we're in agreement. Harper's got to be the MVP for this team to go where it needs to go or wants to go.
And it's Zach Wheeler's ball, for Team Cy Young, so to speak.
Not just team. I think this is his last shot at the league-wide Cy. I think he's going to be starting to get too old after that. Not to say he won't pitch at a high level, but there's Paul Skeens and guys of that are coming along. It's really hard to maintain that level of superiority as a pitcher. I mean, he's what, 35, 36?
Old enough.
He's a little younger than we are, but not by much. So, but I think this is his last true year, chance to win a Cy. That's my take. Again, not saying that he's going to be not an ace even by after this year, but I think the staff is going to be relying on other guys like Nola, like Luzardo, like Painter after this in a way that they haven't quite before. I think Wheeler's going to kind of become a 1A starter, whereas now he is the undisputed ace of this staff. I think by next year, I think he's going to kind of fall into still a great pitcher, but not the undisputed ace of the team necessarily, especially if Painter does what we hope he's going to do.
Is it going to be Painter next year? I saw an interesting take on Instagram. I mentioned it to you. Was Christopher Sanchez as a dark horse for possible Cy Young? Is he going to get it? Doubt it.
Never know though.
You never know. You never know. But because we got Skeens in here, we got Wheels. So there's a lot of good arms in the National League. Who knows what Corbin Burns is going to do in Arizona, for instance? But Christopher Sanchez could surprise us.
That's a good call. I mean, of anybody else on the staff, he's the one I would pick too as the dark horse. I mean, you know what you're getting from Nola. He's not a Cy Young pitcher, but he eats innings and he stays healthy. That's his value mostly. And I don't think we know enough about Luzardo, and he's had the injuries, so I wouldn't, project that for him either. But Sanchez is the other guy that could sneak up and make a run at that.
Yeah. So back to the bats real quick. Clubhouse leaders in home runs and RBIs. Who do you got?
Home runs, I'm going to say Schwarber. I think Bryce will be up there too, but I think Schwarber's going to hit 40 this year. That's my guess, and I think Harper gets to 35. That's my guess, my projection. And then RBIs, I'm going to give to Schwarber as well. I think caveat if he's batting in the middle of the lineup. If he's batting there, I don't think there's a question. To me, he's going to be the RBI leader. Bohm was a good RBI guy last year, but if Schwarber's there, Schwarber is better at driving runs in, I think, than Bohm is. But Bohm would be my second for RBI leader because I think, I know you're not a big fan of him necessarily, but he does drive runs in, and I'll say it again, he is one of the best, numbers-wise, best hitters on the team with runners in scoring position. When they struggle as a team, he might be the one guy that's still kind of doing what you need the players to do when they have runners on.
If we get last year's first half prior to All-Star game, Alec Bohm, then it's going to be Alec Bohm leading the team in RBIs. But because I just have this strange feeling that Kyle Schwarber will not be the 4-hole hitter all year. I think there's going to be this lull for the team, and they need to change it up. So here's Kyle Schwarber back up in leadoff spot and hitting solo bombs, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So here's four games in a row where he hits a solo shot to start the game, but they don't score enough runs. But Schwarber's going to lead the team in home runs without a doubt as long as he stays healthy at 40, 42, 43, somewhere around there. Is an expectation for me, and over maybe 120 potentially for Bohm if he has a good year. If he shows what he showed us in the beginning of last year, where he had 97, hey, that's a stellar year, but he had that big drop off.
I think 115. That's my guess for Bohm. I think 115. Another one, I think I'm calling Harper as the leader in doubles. I think he's going to have the most doubles, followed closely by Nick and Boehmer. But I think Harper's going to lead the team in doubles.
I may be biased. Bryson Stott leads the team in average this year.
You might find this funny. Yes, I think that's possible. I think Turner is going to do it. I don't think he's going to have a ton of power this year. I think he's going to hit, 15, 20 home runs, but I think he's going to I think he's going to be hovering around 300 for whatever reason.
Okay.
Because I know I said last week if it's got to be the line drives, and if he's hitting the line drives, that's what's going to happen. The ball's going to stay. It's going to get to the ground. He's not going to be flying out as much. So that's it's iffy because again, consistency's been his enemy. But I think he's going to be my pick for batting average leader on the team. But I do think Stott will make that, with the injury gone, hopefully. I think his average will jump back up again. He'll be batting, between 280 and 295, like at least. He'll be in that range.
Right. And to wrap it up, any bold takes? I really don't have any. Let's see what you have, if any.
I don't know. I think anything bold I had. I don't even know how bold those things were, but
I mean, Phillies winning the World Series is
well, but that's more just because I'm an optimist. I'm a fan, and like you said, this is their window. They have to win it this year or next year at the latest, if they re-sign a couple of guys. But they're in that window, so for me, it's now or never. But again, I don't think it's unfounded because they do have the talent. They have the roster. It's just about executing. That's really what it's been about for the last 3 years, is them just needing to execute when it matters. So, now, I don't have any bold takes as far as individual players.
Let me throw one out there now anyway. Nick Castellanos over 100 RBIs.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not a bad take. I mean, it's possible, but I think I'm going to say I'll say 90 something. And again, I think Nick will be on Bryce's tail with the doubles.
Maybe Max Kepler will do something. He'll lead the club in something. He'll go nuts. He'll have this span of a month and a half where he carries the team and they deep in that lineup.
It's possible. He sustained an injury too, but it didn't sound too serious.
Yeah, he came back. He came back.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to go. I know you're ready to go. It's an exciting time. We have opening day on Thursday. It's Christmas morning. It's the best. As my first love is baseball, and Phillies baseball at that. So it's the greatest day. But one thing I can say is I cannot stand the day after opening day.
What, because it's a day off usually?
It's always a day off.
Yeah.
I know they factor it in because it could be weather, but it's you giving me baseball. You're such a tease.
I know.
I need days in a row. I can't just have one and then a day off. You're giving me a Friday day off of baseball? Come on.
Yeah. I saw that in the schedule. It's very odd because, I agree. That is frustrating, but, we don't control the schedule, so we just complain about it.
Right. Yeah, let's complain. So, Brent, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you ready for Guess That Phillie?
I mean, you have to be ready.
I know, but I'm ready. You know that. I'm ready. Let's go.
You got some new toys over there, don't you?
I'm trying some new ones out. So we'll find out if this is gonna work.
Oh my gosh, you really are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, if you're ready. All right, okay. So this guy was a pitcher. He was left-handed.
Okay.
All right. Left-handed pitcher. He pitched from 1996 to 1998 for the Phillies.
Ooh.
The only team he played for in his major league career.
Okay.
His win-loss record is rather unimpressive. He was 8-22.
Jeez.
ERA 5.37.
Oh my God.
He had 266 strikeouts in his 2-year career.
All right.
Okay. So he played in the Independent League in 2007, and he was attacked by Jose Offerman. And you might remember this. I do.
Yes.
He was
I remember Jose Offerman.
He attacked this player during a game when he was actually pitching to Offerman. He hit Offerman with the pitch, causing him to charge the mound with his bat. The catcher was injured. He was hit in the head and sustained a concussion. And this player's finger was broken during the incident.
Okay, that's really random. I remember the incident. I remember Jose Offerman. I'm a little lost here on the player involved. Do you have a number for me at least?
Yes, it was 55.
55. Did the Phillies draft this player?
Let's see. I don't know if they have that information. I will say this. Think a place you go on vacation as the person's last name.
A place you go on vacation.
Not a specific town, but a type of place. By the ocean?
By the ocean. So I think of beaches.
Right.
Beaches.
No, you got it.
Is this name Beaches?
No.
I do not remember this guy. I can tell you.
His Matt Beach.
You don't remember him today?
You don't remember him?
I do not remember this guy.
I don't know.
20. What kind of record is that?
I don't know why I remember him, but I thought of him off the top of my head.
It's like, my mind went to Omar Dahl. You know, like.
No, well, that was more, yeah. But no, I remember this guy for some reason, and I thought he was there longer than 2 years.
You got me today. Good work on. I'm dead in the water. This is terrible. Man,
you gotta go get. You got to go get one that's really in the depths.
You know what? I was talking to Noah. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm either going to give him an easy-ish one, or I'm going to give him one that I remember specifically when the Phillies acquired the player, and one that was a Philly for half a season. So, so you're going to get one of these guys.
Okay, bring it on.
No, good work today. You got me. Beach, like who remembers that? Like
me,
that is an interesting.
It's not spelled.
Knowledge.
It's not spelled like the
two double E?
Yes, it's 2 E's. Yes, but that's I remember Harry Callis. I remember saying his name all the time. He was like the number 2 or 3 because of how bad we were back then.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call the lean years.
Yes.
Man. Ouch. Okay. I'm thinking of all these players in my mind right now. Like I have to get some revenge. It's coming.
Yeah. Bring it on. Let's do it.
Bring it on.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I have nothing else.
All right. Well, next time we're hoping it'll be opening. We'll have the opening set of games for the regular season to talk about, which is, as Jim said, it's Christmas. It's exciting. There's so much to talk about. So hopefully our boys get off to a good start. We'll be in high spirits next week, and we're also hoping to do another segment of Kids Corner. We have some thoughts about how we can incorporate that. I might have 2 of my kids involved next time. As I said, my daughter Emerson was interested in talking on it. So we will do that. But that brings us to the end. We want you guys to come back and join us next week. Thank you so much for following us and sticking with us these first 6 episodes, which is crazy. We're 6 episodes in. Right. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at Phillies Unfiltered Podcast, on Instagram at Phillies Unfiltered, on Twitter /X at Funfiltered, PHUNPHILTERED, and then on YouTube as well at Phillies Unfiltered Podcast. Thank you again for joining us. And Jim,
go Phils.
See you later, guys.